Welcome.
Mic check.
Mic check.
The Occupy movement.
The Occupy movement
Is the force.
is the force
That will revitalize.
that will revitalize
Traditional Christianity.
traditional Christianity
In the United States.
in the United States,
Or signal.
or signal
Moral.
immoral,
Social.
social,
And political.
and political
Irrelevance.
irrelevancy
Outside the doors.
outside the doors
Of churches.
of churches,
Struggles a movement.
struggles a movement
Driven. Largely.
largely
By young men and women.
by young men and women
Who has. As its unofficial credo.
as its unofficial credo,
The Beatitudes.
the Beatitudes.
Blessed are the meek.
Blessed are the meek,
For they shall possess the earth.
for they shall possess the earth.
Blessed are they who hunger
Blessed are they who hunger
and thirst for justice.
and thirst for justice,
For they shall be satisfied.
for they shall be satisfied.
Blessed are the peacemakers.
Blessed are the peacemakers,
For they shall be called
for they shall be called
sons and daughters of God.
sons and daughters of God.
Blessed are they who suffer
Blessed are they who suffer
persecution for justice's sake.
for justice's sake,
For theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
During the military dictatorships
During the military dictatorships
in Latin America
in Latin America
and the revolutions
and the revolutions
in Eastern Europe,
in Eastern Europe,
the church
the church
provided physical space,
provided physical space,
moral support,
moral support,
and direction
to
those who opposed
those who oppose
tyranny.
tyranny.
And today,
Trinity Church
in New York City,
in New York City,
with its open park space
with its open park space
on 6th Avenue
on 6th Avenue
and Canal Street,
and Canal Street,
can manifest its commitment to the gospel
its commitment to the gospel
and nonviolent social change
and nonviolent social change
by permitting
by permitting
the Occupy movement
the Occupy movement
to use this empty space.
this empty space.
Just as other churches across this country
Just as other churches across this country
that hold unused physical space
that hold unused physical space
have a moral imperative to turn it over
have a moral imperative to turn it over
to Occupy movements.
to Occupy movements.
Where is the church now?
Where is the church now?
Why do so many church doors remain shut?
Why do so many church doors remain shut?
Why do so many churches
Why do so many churches
refuse to carry out the central mandate of the Christian gospel
refuse to carry out the central mandate of the Christian gospel
and lift up the cross?
and lift up the cross?
Someday they are going to have to answer the question,
Someday they're going to have to answer the question,
where were you when you crucified my Lord?
where were you when you crucified my Lord?
I hear the voices of the saints who came before us.
I hear the voices of the saints who came before us.
The suffragist Elizabeth Cady Stanton, who said,
The suffragist Elizabeth Cady Stanton, who said,
the moment we begin to fear the opinions of others
the moment we begin to fear the opinions of others
and hesitate to tell the truth
and hesitate to tell the truth
that is in us,
that is in us,
and from motives of policy
and for motives of policy,
and are silent when we should speak,
and are silent when we should speak,
the divine floods of light and light
the divine floods of light and light
no longer flow into our souls.
no longer flow into our souls.
Rabbi Abraham Heschel, when he was criticized for marching with Martin Luther King and Selma
when he was criticized for marching with Martin Luther King and Selma
on the Sabbath, answered, I pray with my feet.
answered, I pray with my feet.
Rosa Parks, true follower of Jesus Christ
There comes a time when a true follower of Jesus Christ
must take a stand that's neither safe,
must take a stand that's neither safe,
nor politic, nor popular,
nor politic, nor popular,
but he must take a stand because it is right.
but he must take a stand because it is right.
Where were you when they crucified my Lord?
Where were you when they crucified my Lord?
Were you there to halt the genocide of Native Americans?
Were you there to halt the genocide of Native Americans?
Were you there when they crucified Sitting Bull?
Were you there when they crucified Sitting Bull?
Were you there to halt the enslavement of African Americans?
Were you there to halt the enslavement of African Americans?
Were you there to halt the dogs
Were you there to halt the dogs
as they were unleashed on civil rights marchers in Birmingham?
as they were unleashed on civil rights marches in Birmingham?
Were you there when they crucified Martin Luther King and Malcolm X?
Were you there when they crucified Martin Luther King and Malcolm X?
Were you there to halt the hate crimes, the discrimination and violence
Were you there to halt the hate crimes, discrimination, and violence
against gays, lesbians, bisexuals, and those who are transgender?
against gays, lesbians, bisexuals, and those who are transgender?
Were you there when they crucified Matthew Shepard?
Were you there when they crucified Matthew Shepard?
Were you there to halt the abuse and even slavery of workers in the farmlands in this country?
Were you there to halt the abuse and even slavery of farm laborers in this
Were
country?
you there to halt our wars in Iraq and Afghanistan?
Were you there to halt our wars in Iraq and Afghanistan?
And Israel's saturation bombing of Lebanon and Gaza?
And Israel's saturation bombing of Lebanon and Gaza?
Were you there when they crucified Rachel Corrie?
Were you there when they crucified Rachel Corrie?
Were you there to halt the corporate forces
Were you there to halt the corporate forces
that have left working men and women in this country
that have left working men and women in this country
bereft of a sustainable income, hope, and dignity?
bereft of a sustainable income, hope, and dignity?
Were you there in Liberty Square
Were you there in Liberty Square
to share your food with your neighbor?
to share your food with your neighbor?
Were you there to become homeless with them?
Were you there to become homeless with them?
Where were you when they crucified my Lord?
Where were you when they crucified my Lord?
I know where I was.
I know where I was.
Here.
Here.
With you.
With you.